Good morning, everyone. Here we are for our late morning break again. I just, as you can see here, I just joined another piece of yarn that I have here and started down this new row. So we'll just keep going with what we're doing. This is one, to me, one of the most wonderful parts about crochet, because you can just keep repeating. And sometimes it's fun to do something very different, but the act of just, I'm taking a little bit of coffee here, the act of just doing the same thing over and over is also very comforting, very healing, and it's doing the same thing over and over, but in a way that produces something. It's not a futile gesture. So let's just keep going here, and I'll tell you about my last couple of days. I actually did not get to have a break yesterday. We had to leave at 10:30 in the morning to take my mother to her doctor's appointment, which is about 70 miles away. So, and we had to, once we got there, of course, have lunch and everything. And she likes to go back to her house and get things, and you have to watch her time there because she never wants to leave, of course, which is understandable. But, and the wind, oh my goodness, the wind yesterday was just incredible. It was howling at the car all the way, going and coming back. And it was bitter cold. It was not a pleasant day to be out and about yesterday, but, you know, with an appointment, what do? You keep it. So, at any rate, let me just get this a little bit more situated here. Okay. And I'll tell you about this visit with the doctor's office, because she was anxious to get there. Now, mind you, it's back in territory she knows, and with a doctor whom she's had for years, and is very, familiar with the surroundings and everything. So, but here's the interesting part of it. She had been in so much pain. And so I was actually anxious to get her to this appointment. And when we got in there, of course, she exhibited these same symptoms and is practically whimpering in the pain, and nobody knows how this hurts, and et cetera, et cetera. And so the doctor says, well, he thinks it's time to really be doing some pain management here. And I agreed with him. And he gave us a new prescription and so forth. Now, we get home very late in the afternoon, and I quickly do the tending of the alpacas and all the animals around, by this time the pharmacy had called with the prescription being ready, so I went over to get it. I got it, I came back, and still had to get dinner and all of that. But, and I had told her I was going to get it. Oh, well, you don't have to go today. Well, I went because I wanted to have this medication on hand. It's, the directions are to use as needed. Well, now she doesn't want to take it. Well, it's not that bad. I could have been knocked over with a feather. So, that's the situation. Now, isn't that interesting? She does not like to take medications. But finally I said to her, Mother, you can't sit there whimpering in pain and tell us nobody knows how this hurts. And then, when something is done to manage that pain, you don't want to do it. That this doesn't compute. So I don't know how we're going to go with all this. It's very interesting. Okay, we got to the end of that row, and time to turn and do another one. This is coming right along. I'm going to not turn until I've done these chains. Oh, I'll have to stop here and get more yarn up here. All right. So he gave her that new medication and also increased one that she's already on, which should also help with this. And she has an appointment with a vascular surgeon next week. Now, something interesting. He said, let's think again. What year did you have your radiation in? And it was 1979. So, that's almost 40 years ago. And now, mind you, it has caused problems before, but this one it's hard to do anything about. We'll see what the vascular surgeons say next week, but it's very difficult. I'm not too hopeful of that, but we'll see. But at any rate, the doctor's comment was, well, it finally caught up with us, didn't it? And isn't that interesting? Yeah, it finally caught up. Now, they don't expect people to outlive. I think they don't. It always seems to me, put it that way. And sometimes there's no choice. You need to use it for a short-term gain. But I don't think, by and large, they ever expect people to outlive the long-term results of the treatment. And she has done it. She has kept outliving all the fixes, and then the fixes become the problem. So it's something to think about for all of us. I'll just crochet along here for a couple of rows. A sneeze, excuse me. I hate sneezing. I mean, it's, you can't not sneeze, but I never like doing it. I still haven't located a substitute yarn for the yarn that was called for in that soft shoulder wrap that had been discontinued. So we might have to undertake a different little project until I can find that, or we might just totally strike out on our own with a substitution, or abandon that possibility. I'm not wedded to it. All right. Well, maybe do another one across here. So last night when I finally had gotten the medication and all the animals were fed, everything outside the house was done, and I was free to just start making dinner. And I thought, oh, what are we going to have that's quick? Because I hadn't had a chance before leaving to put anything in the crock pot or something like that. So I thought, okay, the vegetarian chili. I knew I had the makings of that. And that's one of my standbys. If I have cooked rice around, that's one of my standbys. Because it's just the chili with the cooked rice substituting in quantity or volume for what would normally be the meat that you might be used to making if you're used to making chili that way. I find it very good. In fact, I guess by the time I got to it last night. Oh, and if you used canned beans and things, which I did because they were here, and obviously I couldn't have made it if I had to cook the beans, but it's just the kidney beans and the tomatoes and some tomato juice and onion. And you know what I do with my onions? I may have mentioned this to you before. I don't think so, though. When I get a bag of onions, I need some more yarn here. I really like to peel them all at once. And I know some people say they don't keep as well, some people say they don't stay fresh. I use them so quickly that I never experienced that with them. And to me, they keep better than loitering around and peeling them one by one, because they're all in a Ziploc bag in the refrigerator, and they still have to be chopped or sliced or whatever you're doing with them. But to me, that just makes it so much easier to use the onions. Just go ahead and peel them, put them in a Ziploc bag, and put them in the fridge. And they're always ready there to be used. And I don't notice any difference in flavor or texture or anything. And it's just so handy to have your onions ready to use, like ready to wear, ready to use. I'm having a hard time getting that last chain on today. There we go. Well, let's start this one again. Something's not right with that stitch. There, that's better. Okay. I think we have time for one more row across. So in the chili, I just put the onion, and I will cook it a little bit first while I'm opening the cans and getting out the cooked rice and so on. And I'll just do that either in a little water or a little tomato juice, whatever. And then I just put in 3 cans of kidney beans and 3 cans of diced tomatoes and almost that same quantity of cooked rice. And tomato juice. Now the rice will, even though it's already cooked, it will soak up, as it were. It will expand even further as it heats and cooks in this combination. So you always need a little more, I find, a little more tomato juice than you would think. And then, of course, I put the spices. More and more I've been leaving out the salt, applying it at the table. Put some pepper and the chili powder, and sometimes I make up batches of my own chili powder, but I also just like the several of the store-bought mixtures. And I usually put it on the table because those who like it hot can make it hotter, spicier, and those who like it more mild can leave it as it comes out of the pot. So that's what we had for dinner last night. That with a salad and you're set. And a little fruit later. And my mother, who's not on this Whole Foods plant-based program. Actually, for her, I made chicken, rice, and corn last night as her main meal, the main part of her meal. And then later on, since she hadn't had her ice cream at lunchtime, you know, at this point, I mean, we're letting her eat whatever she will eat. Sometimes you can hardly get her to eat anything. But she ate this well last night. And then she had ice cream later on for her, because usually she has a little ice cream after lunch. Now here I am stuck again in this stitch. Now that should not be. I'm not getting something picked up properly there. There we go. Okay. Coming right along here. Yes, 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 yes. All right, I'm going to stop here for now, and I'll see you tomorrow.